saying from the other songs.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 440. It's Sunday, January 6, 2013, 12 p.m. Pacific Time, Internet Talk Radio for your imagination. Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today we hear from Shelley Schuhart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the Engineer, plus we bring you the segment News Random on what exactly are Twitter-sized apartments. We'll answer. Mike's Daily Podcast. NBC apparently talked Donald Trump out of running for president. A good idea, for sure. Mike's Daily Podcast. Donald, as you know, is the host of The Apprentice, which is on NBC, so NBC likes to keep him in line. But that must be a really tough job to do, to keep control of that toupee-wearing guy. And did you know what sport is really big in Thousand Oaks, California? Badminton. It's getting really big. So I have to warn you that I'm an excellent badminton player. I'm a good mitten player. Mike's Daily Podcast. Actually, I'm afraid of that weird feathered ball thing that flies through the air. I'd rather listen to Slayer. Mike's What a great band. Daily. They rocked hard. Podcast. And so did Wasp. Yeah! Okay, it wasn't a Wasp fan, but whatever. Hey, look who else just walked in. Or just walked in, now someone new. Hello, Shelley Schuhart, the gift shop supervisor, and I'm not a really big fan of that group, Slayer. You're not? No. I, in fact, am a big fan of the group Sublime. Ah, yes, they were out of Long Beach. Mike Matthews, I love Long Beach. Why? Because there's like a lot of surfers. Oh, I know they got that Queen Mary. Queen what? It's a big ship. I don't know, I've never been there. To Long Beach or to the Queen Mary? I've been to Huntington Beach. Have you really? Or have you been inside that mall store that's like kind of like an Abercrombie and Fitch, what's it called? You mean Hollister? Yeah. When you walk into a Hollister, there is a television screen in like the main room with the cash registers where they, on either side of the room, they've got TVs in a row. 3 up, 3 down. So 9 television sets. And on either side of the room, they are showing you the Huntington Beach Pier. They got cameras on either side of the pier, which correspond with the television screens on either side of the room. Okay, Mike Matthews, why do you go inside of a Hollister? That's like clothes for young people. I don't know. I just walked in one time to check it out because it looked so dark and strange. And there was clothing that I couldn't possibly fit into. And I walked in and I saw those television screens and I'm like, oh, that's the Huntington Beach Pier. Okay, that's like strange. And I have been inside of Hollisters all over the country. I was in one inside of Alabama. And as I'm in that one in Alabama, I'm like, oh, look, the Huntington Beach Pier. So no matter where you are, if you are a Californian, it will remind you of California. If you feel homesick for California, just go into one of those stores. You don't have to buy any clothes. Just stare at the television screens. And the young people that work there will think you're weird. Just like me. Excellent. And look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere the Engineer. Mike, we also talked Donald Trump out of running for the president. You did? What did you tell him? We said, if you run for president, we are going to tell the world exactly what your hair is made out of. Oh, really? What's his hair made out of? Hair. Oh, that's a shock. But not human hair. Oh, really? What kind of hair? It's from a species that doesn't exist yet. Oh, my God. You mean he's like a man from the future? Yes. And I am very afraid of that future. Mike, let's go play some badminton! I don't have a badminton ball. I've got this thing here. Mike Matthews, that's a dust bunny. Yeah, will that work? Sure! I'll meet you outside! Well, I didn't even know we had a badminton setup out there. Fun. And if you love badminton, if you love Donald Trump's interesting hair, if you love the Hollister television screens that show you Huntington Beach Pier, or if you didn't even know about that, or if you have any sort of comment at all, you can email me, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. Also email me if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to sponsor the show, mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. We also have the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, where we do not have synchronized web cameras that show either side of the Huntington Pier. We have synchronized web cameras that show either side of Floyd the Floorman's hairy face. I'm glad he was outside so he didn't get to hear me say that. because he would come inside and go, oh, no. Mike, this is Floyd the Floor Man. I do have a hairy face. It's a beautiful face. Thank you. You know, also on mikesdailypodcast.com, we have a link to where you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Yelp, and where our link to iTunes is, so you can subscribe to the show on iTunes. And when you subscribe, more people find out about this show, and we no longer swallow and squallow in obscurity. Maybe we should swallow and stay forever in the swallowing of obscurity. But we emerge forth and out of the primordial obscurity ooze if you subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe. So if you feel like you would like to do that, the link to iTunes, where to find us in that, is in the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. And the blog's there, too.
News Random.
So this is interesting, I think. Maybe not as interesting as you would think, but I think it is. So, what? This is from a paper called... Gosh, I don't remember what paper I got it from. I ripped it out, and I didn't save any of the parts that tell me what the paper is. Darn it. It kind of looks like The Guardian or the SF Weekly or East Bay Express, one of the local... Oh, it is, in fact, from the SF Weekly. And it says here, San Francisco is actually giving tax rebates to Twitter that helps them grow their business by approving the creation of extra small apartments for the people that work at Twitter who toil long hours in the company's new mid-market headquarters. And they are going to get them these living spaces. They're called efficiency units. They are apartments with living spaces as small as 150 square feet for up to 2 people. The total square footage with closets and counters will be at least 220 square feet, with an extra 100 square feet required for each additional resident. Now, I used to live in Ventura, in downtown Ventura, in a duplex, and I lived in a 500 square feet space in the duplex. Then I got married, so I guess that got reduced to 250 square feet. But we're talking like 220 square feet. Yikes. Now, the rent for these will be in the $1,200 to $1,400 range. Now, I don't really have a good perspective on this because I actually stayed in this duplex in Ventura from the mid-90s to the mid-O's. For about 10 years, I stayed in this duplex and only had to pay $700 a month. So that was pretty lucky. I don't think you'd be able to find that really anywhere in a major urban setting, especially San Francisco. Some progressive supervisors, it says, have expressed concerns about the vaguely Orwellian idea of cramming the city's worker bees into ever smaller living spaces. So, the legislation initially caps the creation of 375 units and requires the city to study how it's all working out. Quote, as we do this, it's important that we carefully study this, said Supervisor Jane Kim, whose downtown District 6 is expected to absorb most of the experimental new units. And those are really teeny tiny, puny units. But the legislation was approved on a 10-to-1 vote. So that's the fun of working at Twitter. You get to stay in a tiny little cubby hole. But I am not averse to cubby holes. In fact, I have the cassette cubby hole on the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, which we dove into yesterday and listened to that little bit with my friend Jocelyn Rohrback. By the way, the podcast previous to that featured that picture of that dog that looked like an Ewok. That dog actually belongs to Jocelyn's mom, I should point out. And Jocelyn's mom is Cindy Ovalle, who was on the radio for many years in Ventura County as well, whom I also worked with. And their dog, Myron, looks like an Ewok. It's awesome. But I got a little digressive there. As we go outside the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I digress a lot. I think I have a problem with my digressive system. The picture is of now Northern California and Oakland and the bay that corresponds there that goes in between Alameda and Oakland and Jack London Square, and they've got all these huge cargo moving cranes, apparati that take the cargo out of the big cargo ships that come into the bay there. And it's fascinating, beautiful picture of those and a sailboat, and it's just a really pretty bay to check out if you're in the Bay Area. Lots of history there. Of course, Jack London spent a lot of time there, got the inspiration for a lot of his novels there. And there is also a multitude of wondrous restaurants and beer, breweries, people making delicious beer. As you heard me talk about beer on this show recently, and they make some great local beers, which is always fun. You drink that kind of beer and you're like, wow, beer doesn't always have to taste the same everywhere you go. Wow, I'm going to try another, and wow, I think I am drunk. Wow, I'm falling face first onto this table and passing out. No, you shouldn't get that far. You don't want to overload on the potassium.
Mike Matthews, Donald Trump's hair is made out of pure potassium.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. It's made from a single strand of potassium DNA from the future.
Wow, this is getting more and more bizarre.
And he's an excellent badminton player.
I'm even more intrigued.
Mike Matthews, I just hope that someday Twitter will do something nice for their employees and help them live in bigger spaces.
I don't know. They're pretty restrictive. 140 characters. They kind of like to put limits on people. Never put limits on me! I'm an excellent badminton player! Check out this serve! Wow, look at that. Go. You have to pay for that, Floyd. Fine, but I won't clean it up because I'm Floyd the Floor Man! And we're outside and there's no floor. You're right. Technically, it's ground. And speaking of ground, I gotta get on my feet on the ground and get going. And moving across the ground, I don't know what expression I'm searching for right now. I'm fumbling and searching for an expression that I can use to get out of what this topic is that we're doing right now.
Mike Matthews, are you trying to do a segue?
Yeah, I'm segueing. I'm segueing into saying I gotta get going because I gotta make some cioppino. For the first time, I've never made cioppino before. I'm making cioppino today. So wish me luck.
Ooh, Mike Matthews, that's with like a lot of fish.
Yeah, a lot of fish is in it. Clams and such. Can I have some? Well, last time I invited you over for dinner, you really criticized what I made. And I had really low self-esteem the rest of the night. Sorry, I'll keep my mouth shut. My comments to myself. All right, as long as you do that, you can have some cioppino. Yay! I hope it's better than the crap you made last time. Yeah, this is going to go well. Tomorrow we will bring you the segment Into an Interview with an amazing singer-songwriter by the name of Stacy Clark. Plus, we'll hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!